This is Core Conversations with Natalie Baggio.
Welcome to Core Conversations. I'm Natalie Baggio, and today we are kicking off our new series to learn about healthcare here locally, but specifically about local talent and individuals who've gone through our career pathways and pipeline programs and are now giving back to our community. So today I have Gabby with me to discuss and share her experiences with our community. Welcome, Gabby.
Hi.
So tell us about where you grew up and what inspired you to choose a career in healthcare.
So I grew up in Berrien Center, which is like a little itty bitty town in between like Eau Claire and Berrien Springs that most people haven't heard of. I went to Berrien Springs High School. I went there my whole life and graduated from there. And ended up doing my nursing program at Southwestern Michigan. And I guess I got inspired by my parents. They're both ICU nurses here at Corewell. And they would come home and just tell me all these stories and all the things they did. And I think that's just where I got my interest. Like it was just, I would ask them every day after work, so what fun things did you see today? Or, you know, what are the cool things that you got to do? And I guess that's what piqued my interest.
Well, that isn't uncommon that you see generational nurses because their moms or their grandmas or their dads were in the profession and it did link an interest, and that's really great. So did you get an opportunity to shadow or have insights before you decided to enter into our pipeline program?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, they had like a program where you could like volunteer and like kind of shadow for a certain amount of hours throughout the year. And I ended up shadowing my mom in the ICU. And it was, I feel like it was a surreal experience because I'd always heard about the things she told me, but I never got to actually see them. And I feel like it was so different in real life. But it was also so amazing too.
So what did you like most that you saw?
There was a specific patient we had that was just super critical, and I don't know how much details to divulge in, but it was just being able to observe her like in her habitat and, you know, watching her critically think and doing all the tests, you know, checking like if there's responses to pain when they're on the ventilator and like things like that. It was just...
Yeah. So it's being able to take care of someone in their most vulnerable moments.
Exactly. Yes.
And help them.
Yeah. And it was like a proud moment. Like I got to see my mom do all the things that she's so good at.
Yeah. That's probably a really strong inspiration. So then you chose to go into nursing and through one of our pipeline programs. And what was that experience like being in the pipeline program as a student nurse apprentice?
So I think it was a great experience because we wore like the different colored scrubs than the normal nurse techs. And so when I was working and there was nurses around that were doing something cool, they'd be like, hey, like, I see you're a nursing student or you're in the program, like come check this out. Or, you know, we're about to give blood, like come watch the process, or things like that. And it was just like, I feel like the nurses did a really great job at trying to include you into the nursing things and getting to show you all of those experiences.
Do you think being in that program and having those extra hands-on experiences while you were at work helped you transition into practicing as a nurse?
Yes, absolutely. Because we would hear about all these things at school. We would learn about all of these things at school. But a lot of times during clinical, you didn't really get to do all of those things depending on where you're at. And so being able to see it while I'm at work and then putting it together, like, oh, this is what we learned about, like putting that connection together and seeing it and understanding it on a different level.
Yeah, and that's part of the apprenticeship where you have the didactic part, but then you have the actual hands-on where you see, feel, and experience. And you felt that program linked those two together well and prepared you to become an ER nurse, right? Yeah. Not an ICU nurse. Well, that's really great because that's what it's intended to do. You know, when I think about transition to practice and nursing, there's sometimes it can be hard to balance work, commitments, life. How did you balance all of that and stay motivated?
I think when I was in school, we had, class every day, clinical 2 times a week, and then on top of that, working at the hospital. I feel like through that whole process, I was able to kind of learn to manage my time effectively because, I wanted to pass all these classes in school, and I also wanted to do great patient care and things like that at work. And I've always been just very motivated to go to the higher level with everything I do. And I didn't want it to stop when I graduated. So it was a lot easier. The transition was a lot easier because of the things that I learned while I was working and while I was in the SNAP program and in the nursing program.
That's great. And then you chose to be an ER nurse. And how are you enjoying that?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
What's your favorite part about being an ER nurse?
I just love seeing a huge variety of different things and being able to use all of my skills I learned about and doing all the critical thinking. Because, we could have a trauma or an ICU patient in one room, and then the other room, we have a patient with symptoms that we don't really know what's causing. And it's just using all of your critical thinking skills and using all of your, bedside skills it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, it's really rewarding to be able to give back in that type of way to the community. And
absolutely.
And probably, I know you have a great team also that you're working with, because I was invited several months ago to round with one of the nurses, and I enjoyed my experience and seeing the great teamwork and the clinical excellence and the camaraderie of the group to really rally around the community and take excellent care of them.
Yeah.
If there was, if you could go back and tell your younger self or a younger sibling or someone that might be thinking about a career in healthcare, what would you say to them?
I would say do it, and do it with your heart, because that's the important part. I've had so many patients tell me, you can tell the difference between a nurse who does it with their heart and a nurse who does it with their paycheck or for a paycheck.
Yeah. Because it is more than a job. It's a connection.
Exactly. You're building rapport with every patient that you have, and you're getting to know them and what they like, what they don't like, what they need. It's so rewarding. Yeah. And just go for it. You don't know until you try.
Yeah. Well, Gabby, thank you for sharing your story. It's a powerful story, an example of how growing up in this community and giving back to this community is a very unique and special thing. And thank you for being here and serving us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Core Conversations. See you next week.